Good morning, students. This is Miss Patterson.
And Miss Felix.
We hope you all are doing well, and we are doing our virtual class here. This is our first lesson today, and we're going to be describing characters in plays. So in today's lesson, you will be reading plays and learning to describe the characters that appear to you. Our goal this week is to describe details about the thoughts, feelings, and actions of characters in a drama. By doing this, you will better understand the text that you have just read. Now, before we dive too deeply into the subject matter, we have to first understand a few vocabulary words. So if you follow along with your packet, we see this first page. It says describing details about the thoughts, feelings, and actions of characters in a drama will help you better understand what you read. So we have to break down those different words. The first part says when you read a drama, so that's one of our vocabulary words. We see it's highlighted there in bold. So a drama is a play. When you read a drama, you learn about the characters by what they say and do. If you keep going, it says a character is a person, animal, or made-up creature in the play. So it doesn't just have to be a human. It could be a person, animal, or a made-up creature. Let's keep going. Identifying details about a character's thoughts, feelings, words, and actions helps you figure out what each character is like. The next bold word that we see says character traits. Character traits are special qualities of the characters such as shyness or honesty. So we have different words that are describing the character. Those are going to be our character traits. The next word we see is motivations. Motivations are the reasons why characters act, think, and feel as they do. Moreover, the traits and motivations of different characters affect how they behave as a result of earlier events in the story. So a lot of big words there, but the main ones that are jumping out to us are character traits and motivation. So I want you to imagine we're all sitting in class right now, and this is what a lot of you like to do. You say to yourself, oh, it's almost lunchtime. I really want food. I don't want to wait to eat. I know lunch is only in 5 minutes, and I tell you that, but you still sit there and you go, oh, I'm so starving right now. I really want food. So I want you to think about, how are you acting as a character? How could we describe you? That's the first thing I want you to think about. How would we describe your character if you continue to complain about wanting food and you're not willing to wait to eat that food? How would we describe you? Then I want you to think about that second word that we saw, motivation. What is the reason behind why you are acting, thinking, or feeling the way that you do? If you said that the reason behind why you were doing the things that you were doing is because you were hungry, then you just came up with the correct motivation behind your actions. The word that we were looking for to describe your character trait, the way that we would describe you being hungry but not willing to wait, that would be impatient. So the character trait in that example would be that you are impatient, and the reason behind that, your motivation, would be because you are hungry. So we've now used our 2 key words for the day. I want us to look down at the image below. It says, study the cartoon below to identify details that tell you about Edmund. So we have to figure out who is Edmund from this cartoon. Let's see what we have in these speech bubbles. The very first one says, hurry, Edmund. They're going to leave without us. Then we'll never get home. And then if we look over to the side, there's a thought bubble that says, what kind of furry monster is that? So just from looking at the thought bubble and the speech bubble, we're going to assume that Edmund is the taller giant on the right, hiding behind the tree. So we want to be able to describe his different character traits, the special qualities of the character, as well as his motivation, the reason behind why he acts, thinks, and feels the way that he does. So I want you to take a moment and think about what are some character traits that we can use to describe Edmund, the alien that is hiding behind the tree.
Ms. Brown Stanley, can you please close the phone off, Ms. Brown Stanley?
All right, we just gave you guys some time to think about ways that you could describe Edmund. I'm hoping that some of the ways that you described him were either fearful, afraid, nervous, cautious, or curious. Any of those words would be a great description, and you can tell by looking at his face and the fact that he is hiding behind a tree that he looks afraid or nervous or curious. If we then continue, we're looking at the next word, motivation. What is the reason behind why Edmund would be afraid or curious or nervous? Let's go back to our text. We see, hurry, Edmund, they're going to leave without us. Then we'll never get home. So we see that the shorter alien is trying to persuade Edmund to come with him. But Edmund is hiding behind the tree. If we look further into this picture, we have a dog that looks like it's barking at Edmund. And then if we look at Edmund's thoughts, it says, what kind of furry monster is that? So that leads me to believe that Edmund is probably afraid of the dog. So that might be the reason behind or the motivation behind why Edmund is afraid. If you switch over to your next page with me, you should see something that is a graphic organizer that breaks down the different character traits as well as the different details from the cartoon that prove why Edmund is the way that he is. So in the section that says traits, I would like for you all to join me and write down some of the thoughts that you all just came up with, either that he is nervous, afraid, scared, or cautious under the section that says traits. Now that you've written down the different traits, move on to the side that says details from the cartoon. So this is just like the evidence that we always have to include in our text. We have to find the details from the cartoon that prove that he's nervous. So as we mentioned before, we looked at the thought bubbles, some of the things that he thinks about, and we even saw the dog that was facing him in his direction barking at him. So we can write that down as some of the details from the text that prove that Edmund, our main alien, is afraid. So that would be his motivation that would describe his character traits. If you follow me here, I'm going to show you some of the correct answers that we were looking for. For the exact trait that we have, we wrote down fearful. In the other column, where it says details from the cartoon, we listed that Edmund thinks the dog is a monster. We saw that from the text in his thought bubble. They also wrote that Edmund is biting his fingernails. If we think about things that we do when we're afraid, that's a telltale sign that he's probably afraid of the dog because he's over there, he's biting his fingernails, he looks nervous. And then the last thing that we put for a motivation, for a reason why, is that he's hiding behind a tree. He's hiding while the other alien is just standing out there. So that leads me to believe that Edmund is afraid. So what we've just done today, students, we went over a few vocabulary words like the words drama, motivation, character, as well as character trait. We used our knowledge of what each of these words mean to break down our cartoon that was on the previous page with our alien friend Edmund. From there, we used the details from the text to be able to describe Edmund or to figure out his character traits. We used different things to describe his personality based off what we saw. Those details from the text proved our motivation, the reason behind why Edmund does the different things that he has done in our story. We looked at his thoughts that were listed in the text box, as well as the other characters that were included in this story, such as the dog that was barking at Edmund. Please come back to this video at any point if you get confused on what any of those words, drama, character, character trait, or motivation means. We will be following this same graphic organizer tomorrow in our next lesson. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and please feel free to reach out to either Ms. Felix or Mrs. Patterson if you need any additional help. Have a great day.